politely will say, come down to my place and we'll make a guitar. And the kind of guitar that you like, I've seen some sort of all about it stuff. I've seen some sort of electrified guitars, I've seen some sort of ukuleles, I've seen all kinds of guitars. I've been out there today, I was out there today, did something cool with my guitar. He sort of took the thing out, put it back in. I felt like a real professional guitar player when he did it. It was really cool and fun, I liked it. But I can't quite do it myself, so you gotta get yourself a guitar maker man who knows exactly what he's doing. Mark Billy, he knows what he's doing. Making guitars, he made this guitar. I like this guitar, it plays nice. So if you want to make a guitar, or need to get a guitar, or it needs fixing, just go see the man, Mark Billy. Yeah. Raggy.
What we're on, Carol. Howdy folks, welcome to the Bailey Workshop for the guitar making channel. Following on from the last live stream where we talked about how to design a custom guitar, and also this is again partly inspired by you, Cheesy Whisk. Great name, Cheese Whisk. So Cheese Whisk went on the internet and bought a lump of wood to make a body out of, and then he thought, now what do I do? So what I thought was, obviously my best advice on the last live stream was to join up on the course, and then you can design your own guitar completely from scratch. So while I'm on the subject, if you're new to the channel, what it's all about is obviously designing and building our own guitars. That's what it's all about. So what I've done over the last 5 years, not just cobbled together for the lockdown, but I've been working on this for over 5 years, is we've basically filmed the whole procedure of designing and building a electric or acoustic guitar completely from scratch. And I've broken it down basically into lots of jobs that they should take between 10 and 20 minutes. It's about 50 or 60 jobs for an electric, a few more for an acoustic. But I truly believe that anybody can do it. How do I know that? Because I've taught over 400 people face to face here in the workshop how to do it. And people come from all over the world to my little workshop in the hills of Ayrshire, or at least they did until recently. With recent events, then we've been basically, all of my work is now online. So people are no longer able to come to the workshop for courses under the current conditions. So we're all online at the moment, and we're completely dependent on our premium members. So if you want access to the courses, the premium courses, you need to become a premium member. That's full access to the full design and build courses. So head over to guitarmaking.co.uk. You can join up as a free member and just be a lurker in the forum, which is free. Ask as many questions as you want. That's where we live. I spend my life there answering questions and admiring, to be honest, what other people have done. I'm constantly amazed what other people have done using just a little bit of information and my basic methods that I give you. It is astonishing what people have done with that. So yeah, if you want to check that all out, head over to the website and you'll see that. Yeah, so we're trying to build the best online academy in the known universe. So that's what it's all about. There's a whole load of free patterns and stuff you can go and download. But like I say, if you want the premium courses, you'll need to be a premium member. So what today's all about is, let's say you've already got a neck. I know a guy who commissioned a guitar maker to make him a neck, but not the body. So he's got this neck sitting under his bed and he wants to make a body for it. And also Cheesy Whisk has got himself a big lump of wood and he wants to make a body. Maybe you smashed your body up in a fit of rage or as part of your stage show and you need a new guitar body. Or maybe you just don't like the body and you want a different shape. Or maybe you want a good introduction to building guitars, and making a body is as good as any. So a lot of people use making a kit as a good entry into making guitars, and you know, there's no shame in that, assembling a kit, but that is pretty much all you're doing, isn't it, assembling a kit. So that's not what we're about. We're about completely making from scratch. So the old bit of wood you've got in your shed that you've been meaning to make a guitar out of, or maybe you went online like our Cheesy Whisk and just bought a body blank. We also supply body blanks. They're available on the site as well, by the way. So if you want to know where to get them from, head over to guitarmaking.co.uk. So I've got this neck here that I want to make a body for. So I'm assuming that you're already going to have a neck. You can't really make a body for a neck that doesn't exist, because you need to know, at the very least, you need to know the scale length of the guitar. So we'll get into that in a minute. And I'm actually going to design this guitar. Maybe I'll ask you guys, I'm still not sure exactly what I'm going to make yet. So maybe I'll ask you guys what you want, give you some options, and I'll let you guys choose what to make. Okay, so I think I might reserve judgment on that. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to be doing it live, and we've got our 4 cameras set up so you can see it from every angle. Got our close-up cam and our overhead cam. So I'll be able to take you right in close, and you'll be able to see everything from every angle. So that's the plan. Mostly today we're going to be doing the design, and it's also partly because people were asking for more long form, sort of a long form build situation, because they enjoyed my live stream lockdown build. So this guitar I actually made completely from scratch on the on YouTube Live. You see every single wound inflicted on this piece of wood until it becomes a finished guitar. So there's a playlist for that, Build Your Own Guitar Live or something like that. But I've had more requests for doing kind of long form building things, and I thought it'd be good to sort of, you know, ease into it a bit. So we'll relax into it, and we'll take the pressure off a bit, and we can spread it over a few parts instead of trying to cram it all into one session. Okay, so today we're mostly going to be concentrating on the design, and on the next session we'll probably be doing most of the woodwork. Okay, and also what I'm going to be doing is I'm creating something that we can spray as well, because upcoming is our finishing course, which I'm working on. Hopefully we'll get all the filming finished in November. Next week we'll get the bulk of the spraying done, and then the week after that it will be polishing. So we're still in the filming stage, then it goes into editing, but by Christmas I'm hoping to have something resembling a finishing course, where I'm going to show you basically oiled finishes, matte finishes and gloss finishes, all these kind of different guitar colours, basically any guitar colour that you've seen. Then I'm going to show you how it's done. So yeah, so I think I'm going to use this bit of wood here, because it's a fairly plain piece. There's not much going on, fairly boring piece. So I'm going to use, I'm using it as an example on the finishing course to show you how you can make a fairly bland looking piece of wood look a bit more special with some staining techniques. So that's all upcoming. So today we're going to focus on designing the guitar, and I'm going to show you how to make a guitar body. But as you guys all know, the most important thing is to check twice and just cut once. So it's all about the preparation and the design to make sure everything's in the right place. So we're going to take a bit of time about that, and that's what we're going to be doing. So Carol's already got her hand up. If you've got any questions, by the way, then make sure to shout them out, and Carol will pick out the best ones, or we'll try and answer all your questions if we can live. And any questions that we don't get to, then just head over to the forum, guitarmaking.co.uk. We've got a free community forum. We're all there willing to help. So if we don't get to your question today, then we can do that. Right, someone's being cheeky. I can tell by the look on Carol's face. Go on, Carol.
Okay, well, so shall I deal with the serious matters? Right. So, first of all, there's several suggestions for what body you should do.
Okay.
Do you want to hear them?
Go on then.
Right, so we've got...
Do I?
Well, somebody suggested a telly.
Okay.
Then Mike Johnson, who's watching in the Isle of Man... Oh, no, I'm supposed to... Right, okay. No, I'm really sorry, Peter. Thank you, Peter.
Turn your mic on, Carol.
Yeah, he said it's great to have... But anyway, so I'm on now. So, suggestions, telly. A couple of people suggested telly, and then Mike Johnson, who's hello Mike from the Isle of Man. He said he's working on a couple of acoustics at the moment. He's doing well. And he suggested a telly thin line. He'd like you to show that.
Okay, so just to clarify then, it's going to be a solid body electric. Not going to be an acoustic or hollow body thin line or anything like that. So we're going to keep it simple. I'm trying to inspire people to have a go, is what I'm trying to do. Hopefully someone will watch this video and they'll realise, actually, it's nowhere near as difficult as I thought it was. So that's what it's all about. And I don't want to make it deliberately difficult because that might put people off. Okay, so forgive me, but I am going to keep it as just a basic electric guitar.
So that's on the list. Rock and Roller 912 suggests Flying V body, and a Jazzmaster. That's
right. I was going to suggest a vote, but I think I'm going to take the.
Do you think it might be a bit of boat face?
Yeah. We don't want to make a boat-shaped guitar, do we?
And just by the way, Mark, there's quite a few people exclaiming and sending virtual hearts over the very idea of a finishing course. I suspect there's
it's going to be good.
Bit of sarcasm there because I think that they've been mentioning it.
I have been talking about it since I started the Guitar Making Academy 5 years ago.
Right, another idea: the Ernie Ball Big Al. Somebody said that's Super Clunk. It's the Ernie Ball Big Al. So that's those things. And
well, keep your suggestions coming because until I cut it out, we can change our minds.
Okay. Just the other thing to mention is that right at the top, right at the start of the chat, Super Clint said he said, "Oh, this is good because I've got two Martin necks that have got no bodies." Yeah,
I did just say that it's not going to be an acoustic.
Sorry, missed that then.
Yeah, unfortunately, Carol doesn't listen to a word I say, so.
Ooh, right, I'm just going to turn the mic off now. Okay. Bye.
Carol, they can still hear you. They'll hear you through my mic if you start insulting me. Okay, so this piece of wood here has a join. You can see it's a two-piece. Most guitar body blanks are two pieces. So what I've done is I've drawn the centre line on to make it a bit more easy to see.
Do you want me to shout the suggestions out?
Yeah, go on, keep going.
Okay, Jeff Barber, I think he's new to the workshop Saturdays. Jeff Barber has suggested something, I'm going to read it, spiky and metal.
Okay, well, spiky and metal is a lot more difficult to make, believe it or not. The guitar that we make on the basic course is a nice roundy shape like this. I talked about this last time in the design session. Sharp corners and pointy shapes, believe it or not, are more difficult to make. So that is why I've chosen this nice kind of like double cut special shape as what I think is the easiest guitar to cut out. You can make yourself an awful lot of work depending on the shape of your guitar, believe it or not. So to make this guitar was designed like for you guys to make your life as easy as possible, making your first guitar. You can make it any shape you like. But I always recommend what I think is going to be the easiest to give you the most chance of success. Go on, Carol.
Well, TV 101 has just made a suggestion, right, but I don't think he's read. I don't think he listens either. I don't think he's read the title.
None of them are listening.
No, I don't think he's read the title because what he suggested is a solid body electric banjo.
Okay, we might have to end this poll before it gets ridiculous.
That's boating McBoatface all over, isn't it?
Yeah. So, this neck, by the way, as I was saying about the courses is a full design and build course, starting with a blank piece of paper and going right through every single job until you finish your guitar. And I'm designing and building this, but you can do anything you want. Obviously, I chose a set neck for this because I honestly think this is the easiest guitar for you to make, believe it or not. But it is kind of swings and roundabouts. Most other people will make a simple bolt-on neck to start with. So it is kind of swings and roundabouts. Whether one's more difficult than the other, it's hard to say now, to be honest. But if it is a bolt-on that you want to make, then we have also got that covered as well. In fact, this is the very neck that I made on the bolt-on neck course, which you'll find at the Guitar Making Academy, at guitarmaking.co.uk. The bolt-on neck course, I'm actually making this neck here. The more astute of you will notice it's a 21 fret neck. I'll fess up now. I originally intended it to be 22 frets, but I can't count. So I've got this 21 fret neck now. So I thought, well, let's make a vintage style guitar. My first guitar had 21 frets and I kind of liked it. It was a Washburn G Junior, by the way. So I kind of liked it because when you had to get to the octave, you have to bend up. You really have to give it a good old welly to bend up to the octave. I kind of like that, but that's just me. 21 fret neck. Most modern necks now are 22 frets or 24 frets. So anything less than 22 is considered kind of vintage now, oldie fashioned. Most acoustics have only got 20 frets. There's some old electrics with less frets as well. Most modern guitars, 22 or 24 frets. So this one, because I can't count, has only 21 frets. So we're making a vintage style guitar here. Now, the advantage of having one less fret, it gives us more space for the pickups. So if we put two pickups on here, there's going to be a big difference between the front one and the back one. So that's an advantage of having 21 frets. Also, it means we can make the guitar slightly smaller. So, you know, maybe for the younger person or for smaller person, might be more suitable, 21 fret neck. That's what we're stuck with anyway. So as I said, this whole session is about if you've got a neck already or if you just want to make a body, what I recommend is you start with a neck. And we're going to use this neck to mark out the body. Now, if you haven't got a neck, then you could just measure out the scale length, or you could just use a pre-made fretboard. One of the most popular things that we sell on our site are these pre-made fretboards. I don't think there's any shame in using a pre-made fretboard for your first guitar, and at least you know it's going to play in tune, don't you? And what I say is, if you want to be a guitar maker, then buy a pre-slotted fretboard, make your first guitar, and you can sell it, and with the money, buy the tools to make your own fretboards on the next one. That's kind of how I built up my collection of tools, slowly. So each job basically paid for some tools. I put everything back into the business, and now I've got a whole amazing workshop full of every fandango tool you could imagine.
I'm going to need to read you out some of these before
Go on.
you do.
I just want to say one more thing though, but don't let that put you off. Don't let lack of tools put you off, because I literally started with nothing, and I came from a background of building guitars in factories, and what I've done is I've just basically adjusted all those factory methods into something that can be done on your bench at home. You don't need a big fancy workshop like me. You really, all you need is a good solid bench and somewhere where you can make a bit of mess. So it could be your shed, it could be a spare room. Yeah, I once did it in Carol's kitchen, but I wasn't very popular. So yes, don't let lack of tools put you off, or don't think that you have to be a super duper genius guitar maker to make a guitar. I think anybody can do it. In fact, I know anybody can do it because I've taught over 400 people face to face right here in the workshop. So let's get on with it then, shall we?
No, you've got to hear some of these things.
Go on, let's do some questions and then I'll get on with it.
They're not really questions, they're comments, right? Because you said have some ideas, right? So they kept rolling in, so let's do them.
Go on then.
So Jim McMillan suggests, what about a telly, but the one that's bound like a Les Paul, a bound telly?
A telly, yeah, that's two for a telly.
Right, Bo Jazz Man's in the house.
Hey,
right?
Bojack.
And he suggested a Les Paul with a Florentine cutaway, right? And then Boo has added, he said a Les Paul body with a Florentine cutout and a telly neck. So that's 2 suggestions for that. So there's that. Then there's also Bagpuss says leave it as it is. Bagpress.
Leave it as it is.
Yeah, make it into a Gretsch, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
Ross said, what about a vintage telly?
I would say then we could go to the pub, but we can't even do that, can we?
No, Raoul in New Zealand says broadcaster. And somebody else who's forgotten now suggested a Mustang. Eddie Cameron suggested a double neck, although there is only one neck, so he didn't read the thing there. And then
have you got your mic on?
Jeff Barber said he was new in the room. It might have been him that said the Mustang actually, but he was going to come on the course in Coventry, just by the way.
Oh wow!
So and he didn't. But anyway, TV 101 has made a sensible suggestion. He claimed it's sensible.
I doubt it.
Well, then he let himself down badly, but we'll move on to that afterwards. So he suggested, why not make a little sister for Lockdown Lucy and make a bolt-on neck bandsman? And then he went and spoilt it all by telling the joke, Mark. You know when you put your neck on the body?
Oh yeah, go on then. Do you want to tell it?
No, you.
No, you do it.
Well, it's the square.
Tell it. Say it.
Bo Diddley.
The Bo Diddley one.
Yeah. So
yeah, 2 votes for Bo Diddley then.
All right, and now I've just noticed online we've got somebody called Fotis, and he's saying Stratocaster. No one's for a Stratocaster. So I don't know. Do you need to explain why you're not doing what you're doing?
Okay, let's go through some of those suggestions.
So we've got Strat.
Right, I'll go through them, Carol. Let's start with Explorer. Yeah, it's too big for my body blank, and I don't want to get into any joining, so I don't want to join it on. I could modify my Explorer's shape. I could maybe just cut it down a bit so it fits on. That would be one suggestion. See that? I could just redraw it. But I'm going to reject that one. What about a violin? All these shapes, by the way, we're trying to get digitised so that they'll be available for our premium members. And I just want to point out at this point that none of these shapes, I've never drawn round a Strat or a Telecaster to get these shapes. These have all been drawn. Sometimes I'll draw around another guitar, but it won't be a Fender. Sometimes I'll use something like a Strat just to get me in the ballpark and then modify it to suit myself. This was a guitar that I made for a guy called Manuel, and he called it his first wife. So this is Manuel's first wife, we call that one. Yeah, so I'm not in the habit of actually just making direct copies of other people's guitars. So if you overlaid these on a telly, you'll probably find some differences. In fact, I may as well pass this on to you guys. When I used to work at the factory, there was obviously some controversy because we were making basically a PRS. It was slightly smaller. There were some other slight changes. Why didn't PRS sue us? It was because I was told anyway that if you can point to 3 differences and say that's different, and that's different, then you're safe from being sued by the big manufacturers. I also know sometimes they do a test case, like I believe Fender once, or it could have been Gibson, they tried to copyright the 6-in-line headstock, or it could have been the 3-a-side headstock. And that was kind of used as a test case just to stop from other people from doing it, if you see what I mean. So if they're not allowed to do it, then nobody else can do it. And so that means that everybody can make 6-in-line or 3-a-side headstocks without getting sued all the time. So yeah, I don't recommend that you go drawing around other people's designs that they've spent years perfecting. But there's no shame in drawing around one and using it as a starting point just to give you the rough size and dimensions. So I'll often do that. So here's the my sort of telly shape. What I might do is start with one that I've already got and modify it. Let's put that to one side because we had 2 votes for that. What about this one? The band shape. So this is a shape that would be specifically for a set neck, and this shape would be for a bolt on. You see it has this extra lump on it where the bolts go through. You don't need this for a set neck, which is why you'll see on this, the strap pattern that I showed you earlier, Manuel's wife, we actually cut this bit off to give you more access to the neck joint, and instead of a neck anchor plate like this, we use neck anchor washers which are smaller, and we can offset the positions like that. So it gives you a smaller heel and less in your way when you're playing at the top end. But this big lump here, it never bothered Jimi Hendrix, did it? Or Eric Clapton, or most of our other favourite players, didn't bother them. So a lot of guitar makers, we're all trying to do something that's different to everybody else. So you'll find all these kind of weird hybrid stuff going on. So that's what some people call it, the all-access neck joint. We've been doing it for years. Recessed neck washers instead of a neck anchor plate. So there's that option I wanted to mention. Go on, Carol.
Yeah, there's just been a few things. So Rock and Roller 912 says the body shape should match the headstock. That's what he's feeling at the moment.
Good call.
Lucia de Pobre, hi, Brazil. He says what about an upper telly shape?
An upper telly
with a Florentine cutaway horn.
Ooh.
Green Mirror 555 says, what about sort of using the grain on the wood to draw a shape? You know, not exactly, but you know.
Good point. Sometimes the wood will tell you what it needs to be. Sometimes you can look at a piece of wood and you'll see a shape in it. That has to be whatever it is. That's happened to me.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes what you can do is put your shapes on, draw around them, and then you just can try them with different... I've got the luxury here of having lots of different patterns already pre-made, so we can just try them, lay them out and see what we think. Okay, so
Eddie Cameron suggested, what about putting cavities in it, having a cap on it and making F-holes?
Yeah, somebody mentioned earlier about a thin line telly. So that's where you hollow it out, stick a cap on with perhaps some F-holes or different shaped holes. I'm not going to be getting into that. As I said earlier, what I'm trying to do is inspire people to have a go, and just to show people it's not as difficult as you might think. And so I don't want to make it more difficult than it needs to be.
I've got one last thing to say before you move on.
Well, I'm about to decide.
Well, so TV 101 is also this is actually a sensible suggestion. Right?
Go on, sensible suggestion.
Genuinely sensible. He said so. That's an interesting idea about how to change a set neck body shape into a bolt-on neck.
Right, let's do it.
Thing.
Decision made. Let's do that.
That's an interesting. What he was saying. That's an interesting thing to see how to alter.
Yes.
What you understand what I'm saying, don't you?
Yeah, I'm going to do that then. Decision made. Nice one. I'm going to use this one, the band shape. Right, if you've ever wondered what a PRS would look like with a with a bolt-on neck and a Telecaster headstock, you're about to find out. Don't tell poor Reed Smith. Okay, right. That's basically the layout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on my shape. I'm lining up my centre lines here. There's actually a centre line drawn on the pattern.
That camera 3 needs focusing. Okay.
And same the other side. So let's draw the shape on. Nice and clear. This is the shape that I call my P1. Or, yeah, it never actually got a proper name.
No, because it was never a model.
It never became a full model because I didn't want to be accused of copying. No, it's actually roughly PRS shaped. It's actually not the same as a PRS. But it's inspired by, I know it's not a copy because I drew it myself out of my head. And I was actually inspired by Patrick Eggle anyway, rather than PRS. Right, there it is. Now what I need to do is, I'm going to put my neck on and line it up where I think I want it. So let's zoom in a bit on this so you can see what I'm doing. What I'm trying to do is get good access to this last fret. You see, we want to be able to reach this fret easily enough. So if this neck was right in here, then you've got plenty of space to put your bolts through, but you're not going to be able to reach these frets. It's going to be really difficult to reach these top end frets. So I'm going to pull it out. And what I like to do is put the last fret level with the horn there. So this means that it's going to be really easy to reach that last fret. Sometimes I'll use the penultimate fret, depending on the shape of my body. Because sometimes if I'm going to carve it, then I might use the penultimate fret. And when I'm doing like a carve, that gives you the extra fret access that you need. One other thing I might do is just lay the ruler on and just get a gauge of where the bridge is going to be. It doesn't want to be here. It doesn't want to be right at the back. It wants to look fairly balanced. So this is a 25.5-inch scale. My bridge would go there, which looks about perfect. By the way, if you've got a neck and you're making a body for it, then you need to know the scale length. And as some people get a bit confused on how to work out the scale length. So I'll just show you that now. How to work out the scale length. So you get your neck, you measure to the 12th fret and you double it. So let me measure from the takeoff point of the nut to the 12th fret. It's 12 3/4 of an inch. Don't know if you can see that at all. 12 inches and 3/4. So if you double that, you get 25.5 inches. So from the nut to the 12th fret is 12 3/4. Double that is 25.5 inches. So let's just line my neck up again where I want it. I'm going to put roughly on centre, and I'm lining up the last fret there with the bottom of this horn to give us really good fret access. Hopefully you can see that.
You need to move it, pull it towards you a bit, because the bottom horn's not very clear.
I'm going to zoom out a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's better.
Okay, so it's the last fret's level with the bottom of the horn to give us great fret access. I'm going to mark the back of the neck there, just with a little mark. And while it's in position, I'm going to line up the ruler with the nut there, and then mark 25.5 inches for the position of the bridge. So I've got 2 marks. Now, to modify this shape so that it works for a bolt-on neck, I need to have enough space for the bolts. So I like to leave about 1/4 inch, and then about another 1/4 inch at the front. And just using a normal neck anchor plate, we can just draw on this extra lump that's needed for the neck. Now I've got lots of patterns, obviously. If you want to know how to make these patterns, there's a whole section on the course which shows you exactly how we make all these patterns. But I've got a pattern here which is my neck slot pattern. My neck just fits nice and tight into that. So I can now draw on my neck slot. There's a centre line on the pattern there. If I line it up with the mark that I made for the back of the neck, then I can draw on my neck slot pattern. Draw on my neck slot. So you can see this is where the body would end for a set neck. And now to make this into a bolt-on neck, I'm going to have to add a bit here. Now for manufacturing purposes, for building purposes, it's a good idea to allow this bit to be just a little bit wider than it should be, and then what we do is we sand it down until it perfectly matches the neck at some point during construction. So we're not going to try and make it, we're not going to try and cut it out and make it exactly the perfect width. We're going to make it slightly oversized and then trim it back so it's perfect later. So a lot of guitar making, the trick involves doing it in 2 stages rather than just one. So we do a rough cut and then we do a fine cut later on. So there's a lot of tricks about guitar making that are like that. What I'm going to do is just add a little bit of body width all the way along there. Just a couple of mil, just to give me a little bit of room for error is what I'm doing, rather than try and cut it out perfectly. So that's actually my body shape. Something like that. That's how you would take a set neck shape and turn it into a bolt-on, and that's the difference basically. Now looking at this, I'm thinking that is quite a chunk there, isn't it? So is there any way we can minimize it? Maybe I would consider using the neck anchor washers. Carol, would you mind just having a look, see if we've got any? Because that means we can modify the shape a bit and chop this big corner off. Maybe a bit on this side as well. Can make them a bit more of an offset heel. I mean, if we're making this guitar ourselves, we can do what we want, can't we? it's a good idea to lay your parts on. You can see that that wouldn't work anymore. One option we would have would just be to make this shorter. We could make that a bit shorter. But obviously it can't be any shorter than the actual plate. So I would say at minimum you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch at each end. So that would be one option. Or we could use neck anchor washers. Carol's just going to show us that. Would you find me a rubber, please, Carol?
Rubber?
Yeah. So here's our recessed neck anchor washers. These obviously go from the back, but we would line them up from the front to just to check the positions. Okay, so that looks good, doesn't it? Also, when we use these recessed neck anchor washers, that means that we can carve some shape into the back of the guitar. We can angle the body heel to make it even less intrusive on your hand. So I might just opt for that, shall we?
Where did you keep your rubbers now?
No, I'm not going to opt for that, neck anchor washers. I'm going to opt for keeping it as simple as possible with the neck anchor plate, okay? Let's keep it as simple as possible. And try not to overcomplicate it for people. But what I'll do,
Got some good questions.
I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so it's not quite so intrusive. And that's our body shape designed now.
Can we get some questions now before we move on?
Yep.
All right, so hang on, right. Some good questions. Let me just do this right. So
This is going to be our neck socket.
are you ready?
Yep.
So TV101 says, how thick does the neck extension piece have to be to protect it against snapping off?
How thick does the neck extension piece have to be?
Are you talking about that bit that you just...
Oh, you mean the body heel?
Yeah, I think that's what he means, where you've extended.
To avoid it snapping off. Well, if you use a standard style body blank, it's going to be about 46mm thick. It's about 46mm. The neck's going to be in about 18-19mm deep into it, and so you're left with a big chunk at the back. As you say, you can carve that down, but it's going to be carving down from full width, where it's got major strength, to, I would suggest, 1/2 inch would be the minimum. But I don't think it's not written in law or anything, but I wouldn't go thinner than 1/2 inch at the front edge. It'll be angled, so it's always going to be thicker here than it is here, if you see what I mean. Or at least it can be angled if you want it to be angled. You can do a carve on that heel.
People are shouting, well, there's a couple of requests
What I might do is just
for anchor washers. Well.
make this, I might just make this curve a little bit less severe to make it easier for the router. Okay, I was going to try and keep it as simple as possible though.
All right, but can I ask you another? I'm going to ask you another question. Luthieria de Pobra says, what about 3 screws instead of 4 and create a diagonal neck pocket? Would it work?
It's been done. I think there are some old Fender, is it the Mustang or something, had 3 screws. It's a bit dicey, you're chancing it really. I'd prefer 4, personally. But yeah, it has been done, and it could be done again. You've got to weigh up your options and think, what is the most important thing? Do I want a guitar that's going to be super strong and last forever, that I'll be able to pass on? Or is neck access so important I'm willing to forego all that and just get me extra fret access? I don't know. It's got to be your choice, hasn't it? But longevity of the guitar is something that you definitely want to think about. And there isn't an awful lot of those guitars left, is there? Probably for that reason.
Okay, another technical question. Jeff Barber says, calculating the depth of a neck pocket. How I usually use the height of the bridge and work it out from there. But
Exactly.
How do you do it?
Exactly that, yes. We'll be getting to that on the next session.
Okay.
Or whenever I decide to route this slot out. Like I say, today is mainly the design process. So I don't think I'm going to do any routing today. But on the next session, we're definitely going to be getting into all that. So while we're on the subject, what are we talking about?
Well, I'm just telling there is some fairly stiff insistence in the some, not all, on anchor
Must
washers.
have neck anchor washers.
And TV says, should there be a legal challenge and a recount to the anchor washers vote? But I think you
All right,
can
let's
do
have
what
a
you like,
poll.
Mark.
We'll have a poll. And if you want neck anchor washers, then we'll do. Well, goddamn, do neck anchor washers.
No, well, like a kite, it says neck plate and nails. We've seen nails in the past, haven't we?
Yeah, I've seen it all. Or at least just when you think you have. Something will surprise you.
Another serious question, Mark.
Go on then.
Russ says, would you have to reshape the neck heel if you curved the body heel?
Yes. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to, but you can. I suppose is the answer to that. You don't have to, but you can. What he's talking about, if you're not sure, is this is a symmetrical one. What we could do is offset this to match. I could recarve, and as well as taking a lump off the body there, we could also take it off the neck.
There's a lot of requests for washers, Mark. Washers is the only word that's been said.
I never said I wouldn't ever let you down.
No more nails was one suggestion, but
yeah. I think I'm gonna.
right. Okay.
I'll mull it over. Let's see.
Well, James Bissett.
Now the thing is, if you're ever not sure about something, like I'm mulling that over now and thinking, shall we or shan't we? We can always cut this bit off at another time.
Right.
I could always just cut it as if it's a normal one and decide later.
Right. James Bissett says that that it wouldn't suit a lumpy thing at the back. Wouldn't suit the body shape. He used better words than that, but I can't see it. Oh yeah, no, anchor washers and lumpy body heel doesn't suit the body shape, is what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that's a lot of in your opinion may vary. Right. So let's assume
Velcro. Right. This is going to be
Velcro.
Velcro for a travel guitar, and then someone's even suggested masking tape and super. Well, we're not going to go down that road.
What a great idea. We could just double up some masking tape.
A really big a really big magnet. I think you might have to make your own mind up. But washers look like the biggest thing.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about pickups then. Yeah, I originally thought you might go for a telly design, so I bought a telly bridge with a telly pickup in it. But to keep it simple, I would recommend... Let's continue with the hybrid theme. So it's a Telecaster crossed with a PRS. So I'm going to go with 2 humbuckers, all right? Okay, so what?
Somebody said P90s.
P90s?
Raoul in New Zealand said P90s.
P90s versus humbuckers. Let's have a quick vote in the chat. P90s versus humbuckers. It's now or never. While you're deciding, I'm going to show you how to locate the position. So if you imagine that's going to be a big hole where the neck goes in, and then we're going to make a big hole for the pickup. If we put them too close together, we're going to be left with a little wafer of wood, which will just snap off. So for a bolt-on neck, we need to leave, I suggest, 1/4 of an inch of wood before we put the front pickup in. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. So the back pickup, I'm just going to put it about 20 millimeters from the bridge. Now the general idea with pickups is to put them as wide apart as you can get them, because as I've said before, quite often, well, especially with two humbuckers, the pickups are virtually identical. The reason they sound so different is because they're further apart. Like when you pluck a string here, it sounds a lot toppier than when you pluck it here. That translates to how the pickup hears the sound and amplifies it to your ear. So this one sounds like a rhythm pickup, full and round, and this one sounds like a lead pickup, which is thin and cutting to cut through the mix, basically. What I'm going to do is square those positions across with my, this is a drafting square, it's got a line across the middle, and it allows me to draw a line at 90 degrees to my centre line. So I'm going to mark on those two lines. I might as well mark on the bridge position as well. So that's the scale length line. And now to get my pickups right in the centre, I need a nice sharp pencil. Whenever you're doing any marking out, your accuracy depends on how sharp your pencil is. So make sure to use a proper proper pencil, Carol.
I didn't see.
You bought me that, didn't you? TV 101. I remember.
Did you?
It's a treasure.
What, when he was
I'm pretty sure during the early days,
of the course?
yeah, TV saw me. As you know, I'm always looking for my pencil and I can never find my pencil. So TV sent me that, which I've never lost, but it's too good to use, isn't it?
Do you want, right, Mark, you need to know about people's thoughts about pickups.
Right, I'm just marking these out first.
What are they? Are you marking pickups out?
Two humbuckers.
Right, well you need to hear before you mark.
Go on then.
Okay, so I would say overwhelmingly, people are saying P90s. I don't know if I don't know if that's because you want humbuckers, right? But
no, P90s are fine.
But then there was also other things like
I really like P90s.
Like a P90 at the bridge, a single coil at the neck. That was Green Mirror. Jeff Barber, I think he's gone bonkers because he's suggested bass pickups, right, and a hybrid. But then, you know, I suppose, is that a thing? I don't know. I don't think it would work with a 6-string. Anyway, what do I know? Don't ask me. And then somebody else, I think it was Jeff as well, suggested 3 humbuckers. You've done that, haven't you?
3 humbuckers. Could do that.
Mm-hmm. And Boolean Universe is going to have a complete meltdown if you don't have P90s. He's actually going to scream.
Okay, well that settles it then. We're definitely not having P90s.
Hey Piotr, welcome back.
I'm joking. P90s, look. P90s. P90s. Did I actually get one out?
No, somebody said that.
No.
The other thing was that I think this was Jeff. Was you can get P90 humbucker size P90s, can't you?
Yes, you can. That's a good option. If you're not sure. Yeah. So a P90. If you want to try P90s, but you're not completely sure that you want to commit to them forever, you can do a humbucker size hole, and you can buy P90s that are made in a humbucker case. So they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty damn close. Here's a P90. A P90 is a single coil. So Roland, as you can see, it fits.
Roland and Piotr are just in the house.
Fits pretty perfect in patterns. These patterns will be available for sale as soon as we can get our asses in gear and get them on the website. Let's go for P90s then.
Roland and Piotr just arrived, and Roland's suggesting, like somebody else, a P90 at the neck and a path at the bridge. So you've got every...
One of each. What about that? One of each is not a bad idea, but it can be difficult to get them balanced because humbuckers tend to be really powerful because there's 2 coils, and P90s tend to be not quite so powerful. But if we put a P90 in the neck position and a humbucker in the bridge, that might be a good balance. I don't know. I tend to want to keep them the same myself. You might also run into phasing issues with mixing 2 different types of pickups. So what you can find is that they can be out of phase and then they'll be cancelling each other out when you've got them both on. So I think in this case, to avoid any confusion, we're going to go for the P90s. We're going to go P90s in the neck and the bridge, all right? At least keep it simple, but I'm doing it for you, boo.
Whilst you're at it, okay, Piotr asked a question last week, right, which was about cheap pickups versus expensive. He said, why would I spend $200 on a pickup when I can spend 20? And he asked your opinion.
Well, what you're paying for is the quality of materials and quality of construction. A pickup is basically just a copper coil around a magnet, but the copper needs to be coated with enamel to stop it shorting out, and so not all copper coil is created equally, and not all magnets are created equally. They might wear out a lot faster than a quality magnet, and basically the way the whole thing is assembled and put together. And the other difference would probably be about 100 quid.
120.
There is, like with most things,
180. What am I talking about?
per pickup.
$180.
Like most things, there's kind of like a point of diminishing returns. I think the best bang for buck you can get are Wilkinson pickups. I used to work with Trevor, so I'm probably biased, but I really like Wilkinson pickups because, well, I think they're the best bang for your buck, and well, I know that they're made properly. So they're made using the proper construction techniques, because Trevor was there back in the day when these things were invented.
And I just want to say we haven't had any problems with them, whereas some pickups that we used to use.
Yeah, we get very few problems with Wilkinson pickups.
Right back in the day.
Yeah, that's not the case for all pickups, especially handmade ones. There's an awful lot of handmakers out there, but they are not all created equal. I highly recommend our friends at Bare Knuckle Pickups. So anyway, I'm going to mark these pickups out. We've already got the front edge of the front pickup here and the back edge of the back pickup. So all we need to do to draw them on is to line them up on the centre. So how I do that is I just roughly measure my pattern. It's 86 mil roughly. So if I mark 43 mil, actually I'm going to mark 42 mil because I want to be able to see my marks. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm lining up my ruler there. Let's go a bit closer. .42 mil on my centre line. Make a mark. Might as well do this side as well. 42. I'm going to do the same the other way. 42 from the centre. And then the same here. So that is all the information that I need to mark on my pickups. So I can get my pickup pattern, drop it on, and I'm going to line it up in between those marks that I've made. You can't really see it, can you? Because of the light. Got a shadow on it. But don't worry, I'll draw it and you'll be able to see it.
I'll put number 2 on, so because we see the top of your head.
You'll see it now. So it's easy to line it up with these 2 marks, and then it's drawn over that one actually. It's drawn over them. Easy to mark on the pickups using those 2 marks, lining it up, drawing it on. And notice what I said earlier about this piece of wood's going to be left on, and it can be a bit fragile. This bit can break off if you're not careful. So make sure you leave at least 1/8 of an inch. Now I've seen some guitars, I've seen some Ibanez guitars for instance, where they've lost that bit altogether. I'll just try and show you. This bit here, I've seen some Ibanez guitar where they take the neck socket right to the back there, and it butts up right against the pickup. And this piece of wood's actually missing altogether. I prefer to have it there as a bit of extra stability for the neck, but that's me. It doesn't actually need to be there, but if you're going to leave it, I'd suggest you leave at least 1/4 of an inch, otherwise it'll snap off. We will eventually have to drill a hole for the earth link wires, sorry, for the pickup link wires, so that we can run a wire from the pickup into the cavities. So you have to drill through this a little bit, and obviously it needs to be sturdy enough to drill through. So there's our pickups marked out. The next thing we would do is mark the controls. So in this case, we've got nice simple pickup layout. Let's keep the electric simple as well. So we're just going to have, I think we'll have a volume, a tone, and a switch. So knobs are another good way to customize your guitar that I never mentioned last time. There's all sorts of different kind of knobs you can get. I've just picked a couple out just to use as to line up. At this point it's not a bad idea to choose a bridge as well, and we can actually lay the bridge on and get a feel. We can start to get a feel for how the guitar's emerging, so you can start to decide where we're going to put these controls. I like to have them roughly an equal distance from the edge, something like that. That certainly helps if you're going to do any kind of carving. I'm looking for a bridge. I got all this stuff out earlier. I've lost it all. Okay, we talked about the telly bridge, which we rejected. This is actually the easiest type of bridge to fit, because it literally just mounts on 2 posts. So that's what we're going to use, I think. It kind of suits this style of guitar as well, wouldn't you agree? I think that it's similar to the bridge that you'd have on a PRS. A wrap over style bridge.
Can I just ask you a question now? Eddie Cameron, he's left actually, but he did ask earlier on.
Okay, go for it.
He asked about, he suggested, would a hip shot hardtail be the easiest, the simplest bridge to use?
Well, I think these are the easiest bridge because it's literally just 2 holes to mount them. Now what I would tend to do is I wouldn't drill the bridge holes until I've mounted the neck, because just in case we mount the neck slightly wonky, we can compensate with the bridge being slightly wonky. Obviously with a bolt-on neck you also have the option of just undoing the bolts a little bit, and you can maybe knock your neck over a little bit to change the angle slightly. If I exaggerate, see what I mean? But it's good practice to at least, if you're making a set neck for instance, so here's a set neck that I'm making. Here's a Roland's 400 year-old piece of walnut. Notice the neck's in, but I haven't drilled the bridge holes yet. So what I can do is I can draw 2 lines from the side of the neck, follow it down the body, and then when I'm locating my bridge I can make sure it's exactly in the right place so that the strings aren't hanging off one side of the neck or the other. With a bolt-on neck you've got the option of slackening the bolts off and you have a little bit of adjustment, but still I always recommend you don't mount the bridge until you've done the neck slot and you've mounted your neck, and then you can mount the bridge in exactly the right place. So we're going to choose this bridge but put it to one side. I'm going to actually mark it on yet, but I am going to mark the controls. Yeah, the choice of bridge, you can really make your life difficult if you choose a tremolo or a Floyd Rose or something like that. So on the course and on the kit I recommend this, because like I say, it just fits on 2. You've only got to get 2 holes in the right place and you're laughing. So I like to just line the bridge up and then I'll check that I can reach my volume control from the bridge. Also check that it's not too close to the pickup. But something like that looks good to me. I can reach the volume control from the bridge, which will be good if I want to do fancy swells. I'm going to draw around those, and those are going to be my final positions.
Can I ask you a question?
Marker centre. Go on then.
James Perry says, does the radius of the wrap over bridge have to be exactly the same radius as the fingerboard?
Great question. Yes. It depends on the bridge. Some bridges you can file to change that radius. You can file the string slots. Not this one. So with this one, it's a 12-inch radius. So 12-inch radius became kind of industry standard for a lot of guitars, even basses as well actually. The 12-inch radius became a modern standard. But yeah, it's a very good point. If you're using a bridge with a fixed radius, you need to make sure that the neck's got the same radius. Some bridges they're adjustable, but not this one.
Can I ask you another question?
Of course you can.
Right, it's kind of an aside. Bag Press noticed that you haven't left the little bit of wood between the neck pickup and the end of Roland's fretboard, and he's just asked why.
Yes, I have. Oh, this one.
Roland's. Yeah.
All right, because this is a set neck. This is a different style of guitar. This is a set neck, it's glued in. And in this case, you see we haven't got the body heel. There's no body heel, very little body heel. And if this was a bolt-on neck, you can see you wouldn't have enough strength to bolt that on. You've only got like half an inch of wood or an inch of wood there to put bolt through. You could maybe get 2 bolts in, but that's not enough. So on a set neck, the neck extends under the first pickup to give you the strength, you see. And the reason there's only 2 mil there on this one, and that's because on a humbucker there's a surround, and we like to butt the surround up against the fretboard. If all this sounds a bit complicated, don't worry, because this is all covered in the design course, where I go through every single, well maybe not every single, but I go through all the different options, including single coils, P90s and humbuckers, and there are certain modifications you might need to make to that area to make it work. It's all covered on the course. But if I could just grab a humbucker. Grab me a humbucker then, Carol. Grab me a humbucker, please. We're almost there, aren't we? I'm just going to grab a humbucker and I'll show you why you don't need to leave such a big gap. You can leave a gap, but as you can see, that these these humbuckers come with a surround. I'll just point out while I'm at it. There's two sizes of surrounds as well. And notice they're angled. So they always angle towards the front to match the neck angle if you've got a neck angle. So there's thick ones and thin ones. So a neck and a bridge, if you've got a neck angle, you might want to get a neck and a bridge surround. But that fits in there, look. If I just put this in. And the surround actually butts up against the neck. Like so. Can you see? So there's only a 2mm gap for a humbucker. But I can't get into it. It's different for a single coil as well. But that's all covered on the course. So I can't get into every single aspect of guitar design in this short hour and a half session. But hopefully I'll cover as much as possible.
Right, Mark, Billion Universe asks, if I damage or break the bit of wood in between the neck pocket and the pickup, how do I fix it?
Just glue it back on. Hopefully you'll be able to find it and glue it back on. If not, I would suggest maybe just make 2 cuts. And you could just deliberately cut it off to make it look neat. Like I've seen on some manufactured guitars. I've definitely seen some Ibanez guitars with that bit completely missing. It's probably for that reason. They probably made the gap smaller and smaller until it broke off, and then they just thought, oh, sod it, we'll just cut it off.
Okay. So Bruce says, what if I've lost it?
I just said.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Rewind it and watch it again.
Sorry, Mark.
Right, we need a control cavity, and then I think our design is done. Pretty much. Can't find my control cavity. I got out ready. I got all this stuff out ready, and then it all vanished.
Okay, well, whilst Mark's searching for all the stuff that he got out that's now vanished, are there any last questions? Because we've just noticed.
Yeah, that would be brilliant if we could have a round of last questions.
Round of last questions. Thank you.
You can shout them out now, Carol, while I'm looking. What have I done with my pattern? So here it is. Yeah, I got some more patterns out just in case we needed them. Doesn't actually fit anyway. Let's get a different one. I've got a whole pile of these different patterns. This one actually came from JJ Guitars. We made some guitars for JJ Guitars when they were not able to. We made some custom guitars for them, and they took them to America to their shows. So yeah, I'm going to use this one. Maybe just bring the controls in a little bit so they fit. So cover plate. This one's as small as it can be. It's literally just big enough for the controls there, but that'll do, won't it? You can make this cavity as big or as small as you want, really, as long as it doesn't interfere with the bridge. So make sure it's clear of the bridge and the pickup. Okay, and we basically need to make this hole is going to be made from the back of the guitar, and it will be covered up with a cover plate, something like this. It's a different shape, but you get the idea. This one just doesn't have a switch, so it only needs 2 controls. So you can make your cover plate any shape you want, and then if you're feeling really fancy, you can put a cover plate recess. Again, I'm marking this on the front of the guitar, but it will actually be machined from the back. But I like to mark everything out on the front, just to make sure that, you know, nothing's in the way of anything else. Mark it all out on one side. And what we'll do here is we'll drill these holes through, and then we can locate our pattern on the back and route it from the back. So there we are. I'm just going to plop that on. Always a good idea when you're doing your design to lay your parts out. So if you are doing a design, I always recommend that you buy your parts in advance, because you know what good parts you're going to want on it. You all wanted P90s, so you all knew that. So you can order your P90s and your bridge, and we've already got our neck, so we can actually lay out now our parts just to get an idea what it's going to look like, and to make sure, you know, we're making something that we actually want. And it's a good check just to make sure everything's going to kind of fit together. So what about that then? It's not bad, is it? It's going to be a 21 fret hybrid guitar with a telly headstock and a double cut PRS style body with a wrap over bridge, 2 P90s and a volume, tone and a switch. We may or may not do some body shaping, so it could be flat or it could be carved like a PRS. We don't have to decide that today, we could decide that next week. So I think what we'll do is, well, Carol's got some questions,
One last one.
We'll do the last question, but don't forget, we'll be back on Saturday. I've forgotten what day it is.
Today's Saturday.
Today's Saturday. So
Super Saturday.
We'll be back on Wednesday, where I'm actually going to make some sawdust. I'm actually going to, I think, let's make a plan to make this body completely on the live stream. So on the next live stream, I'm going to start with what you see here. I'll be starting with this design that you guys have helped me with. I'll start with this, and by the end of the next live stream, touching wood, hopefully we'll have something resembling a body for this neck that I made a while back. And don't forget, I made this neck, we filmed the whole process, and it became the Build Your Own Bolt-On Neck course, which is available on our site, as is the other complete Build Your Own electric and acoustic guitar, completely from scratch, starting with a drawing right through to the finished thing. You need to be a premium member to get those, so head over to the guitar making channel, and it's you guys that are keeping guitar making alive in the UK, for us anyway. So massive thanks to you guys. If there's been anything in this, we've got one last question before we go, but if there's been anything in this live stream that you've found useful or enjoyable, then make sure to click like and share it, and the bell icon and all the YouTubey stuff. You know the score, you know the routine. We're trying to grow the channel, and somebody needs to tell YouTube if we're any good or not. So much appreciated, especially if you've watched right till the end. Let's do the last question and see where we are.
Okay, well, do you want to... There we go, Peter, I've put it on. Do you want to make someone the happiest man in Cornwall?
Well, it would be good, wouldn't it?
Right, so the question is, this is the question to make
Happiest
the
man in
happiest
Cornwall.
man in Cornwall. So, will the bolt-on neck be angled back from the body?
Will it be?
Will it be angled back from the body?
Well, it doesn't need to be, but in this case, I think we will put a small angle on, because when it comes to bridges, there's basically two heights. There's like Fender height and then Gibson height. So Gibsons, you know, your Tune-o-matic Gibson bridges are a lot taller than your Fender style trems or hardtail bridges, like this one. So if I was using this bridge or a Strat bridge, then I'd probably just leave it flat. But I'm using these ones, which gives us an option actually. These are actually work okay in a flat guitar as well, but we can put a small angle on as well. So I think if it makes you happy in Cornwall, if it makes you happy in Cornwall, we'll put a neck angle on for you. All right, I'll do that on Wednesday.
Like a kite says, just shim it, stick a card in.
Yeah, so I'll show you how to put a neck angle on, and yeah, I think we'll do that on Wednesday. It'll probably be pretty much the first job. I'm going to do the neck first on Wednesday.
Well, Mark,
fingers crossed.
Do you know what?
Touching wood, all being well, if the sweet meteor of death hasn't hit us.
Well, but Mark, the happiest man in Cornwall is the happiest man in Cornwall.
Right, we'll stay that way till Wednesday then, and we'll keep you happy on Wednesday. All right. So, if you want to see how we put a little neck angle on this guitar, then tune in on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We'll be here. In fact, I'm going to attempt to completely make this body from scratch on Wednesday. So, what do you think about that? I'm a bit strung out now, but yeah, if you've made it till the end, then thank you. Massive thanks to you guys. You guys are helping us grow our channel, but what's really keeping us alive is our premium members. So head over to guitarmaking.co.uk, sign up as a premium member, and you get access to all the courses that I've been warbling on about for the last hour or so. Or you can just go and check them out. There's loads of free previews you can watch, just to see if you like it or not. Go and explore guitarmaking.co.uk. The most important thing, as I always say, is to make sure that you check twice and cut just the once.